Raw, November 5, 2018. The match between Kurt Angle and Drew McIntyre has been a grueling affair. Drew, younger and stronger, has dominated much of the contest, targeting Kurt's back and legs with ruthless precision. But Kurt, the Olympic hero, refuses to stay down. Every time Drew thinks he has him finished, Kurt fights back, his resilience earning the admiration of the crowd. The fans are on their feet, chanting, "Let's go, Angle! Let's go, Angle!" Their voices echo through the arena, willing Kurt to mount one last comeback. Drew, frustrated by Kurt's refusal to quit, drags him to his feet and delivers a brutal belly-to-belly suplex. Kurt crashes to the mat, clutching his back in agony. Drew stands over him, his chest heaving, a look of disgust on his face. He pulls Kurt up again, this time locking him in a headlock and wrenching his neck. The crowd's chants grow louder, but Drew silences them with a sharp elbow to Kurt's temple. Kurt collapses to his knees, his body trembling with exhaustion. Drew leans down, his voice dripping with disdain as he taunts Kurt. "Is this it? This is the legendary Kurt Angle. The Olympic gold medalist. The man who used to be the best in the world. Look at you now, broken, battered, and washed up. You're a joke, Kurt. A shadow of what you used to be." The crowd boos loudly, but Drew doesn't care. He grabs Kurt by the head, forcing him to look up at the audience. "This is what happens when you hang on too long. You embarrass yourself. You embarrass them." Kurt's eyes flicker with defiance. Summoning every ounce of strength left in him, he shoves Drew back and staggers to his feet. The crowd erupts, sensing a comeback. Kurt fires off a series of suplexes, each one slower than the last but still effective. He hits the Angle slam out of nowhere, and the arena explodes with cheers. Kurt goes for the pin, 1, 2, but Drew kicks out at the last second. The hope in the arena flickers. Drew rolls out of the ring to regroup, but Kurt follows him, determined to keep the momentum. However, Drew catches him with a vicious claymore kick as Kurt re-enters the ring. The impact is devastating. Kurt collapses, and Drew covers him, 1, 2, 3. The bell rings, and Drew stands tall, his face a mask of smug satisfaction. The crowd is silent, their hearts heavy as Kurt lies motionless in the ring. Drew looks down at him, shaking his head. "I told you, Kurt. You're done." Kurt slowly gets to his feet, his body trembling with exhaustion. He looks around at the crowd, his face a mix of pain and determination. The fans chant his name, "Angle. Angle. Angle." But the moment is bittersweet. Kurt nods slightly, as if to say, "I'm not done yet." Weeks later, after sharing the news that his career as a wrestler is coming to an end, Kurt Angle soon finds himself teaming with Braun Strowman against Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin. The crowd is skeptical, Braun is a monster, but Kurt is clearly past his prime. The match starts with Braun dominating, tossing both Drew and Corbin around like ragdolls. But when Kurt tags in, the momentum shifts. Drew and Corbin isolate him, mocking his age and injuries. The crowd grows restless, chanting Kurt's name, willing him to fight back. And then it happens, Kurt counters a move from Corbin and hits the Angle slam. The arena explodes with excitement. Kurt goes for the pin, but Drew breaks it up at the last second. The crowd groans in frustration. Braun storms into the ring, taking out Drew with a thunderous clothesline. The chaos leaves Corbin and Kurt both down in the ring. The referee is distracted, and the crowd is on the edge of their seats. Suddenly, Braun reaches down and picks up Kurt with one hand, lifting him to his feet. Kurt looks up at Braun, confused but determined. Braun growls, "Finish it, Kurt. Show them who you are." Kurt nods, locking in the ankle lock on Corbin. The crowd roars as Corbin writhes in pain, trying to escape. But Kurt's grip is unbreakable. Corbin taps out, and the bell rings. The crowd erupts in cheers as Kurt releases the hold, collapsing to his knees in exhaustion. Braun helps him to his feet, and the two celebrate in the ring. As Kurt and Braun leave the ring, the camera focuses on Drew McIntyre, who is seething with anger. He storms into the ring and attacks Baron Corbin, blaming him for the loss. The two brawl viciously, their alliance crumbling in an instant. The crowd loves it, cheering as Drew takes out his frustrations on Corbin. This marks the beginning of a bitter feud between Drew and Corbin, leaving Kurt Angle out of their crosshairs. For the first time in a long time, Kurt can breathe. He's not the target anymore. But as he walks up the ramp, he glances back at the ring, a look of quiet determination on his face. This isn't the end for him, not yet. Over the following weeks, Kurt began to pick up momentum, scoring hard-fought victories over the likes of Jinder Mahal and Apollo Crews. These wins weren't just about the results, they were about reminding the world why Kurt Angle was considered one of the greatest of all time. But it wasn't just about the wins. It was about the way Kurt fought. Every match was a masterclass in technical wrestling, a reminder of his Olympic background and his unparalleled ability to tell a story in the ring. The crowd began to rally behind him, their chants growing louder with each victory. Kurt Angle was on a mission, and the WWE Universe was fully behind him. The stage was set for a special match on Raw, Kurt Angle vs. Chad Gable. The two had faced off before, but this time felt different. Gable, a former Olympian himself, had always looked up to Kurt as a mentor and an inspiration. For Kurt, this match was an opportunity to prove that he could still hang with the best in the world. As the bell rang, the crowd was electric. The match was a technical masterpiece, with both men trading holds, counters, and suplexes. Gable's agility and speed were on full display, but Kurt's experience and ring IQ kept him in the fight. The crowd was on their feet, chanting, "This is awesome. This is awesome." At one point, the commentators couldn't help but draw comparisons to Kurt's earlier struggles. One of them remarked, "You know, Drew McIntyre has already destroyed Baron Corbin, ending their feud. But Kurt Angle. He's still here, still fighting, still proving why he's a legend." The match reached its climax when Gable attempted a moonsault, but Kurt rolled out of the way at the last second. The crowd erupted as Kurt locked in the ankle lock, his signature move. Gable writhed in pain, trying to escape, but Kurt wrenched back with everything he had. Finally, Gable tapped out. The bell rang, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Kurt released the hold and collapsed to his knees, exhausted but victorious. Gable, despite the loss, extended a hand to Kurt. The two shook hands, and then, in a moment of pure respect, Gable pulled Kurt into a hug. The crowd chanted, "Thank you, Angle. Thank you, Angle." Kurt stood in the center of the ring, soaking in the adulation. He knew his career was coming to an end, he had said as much in a heartfelt speech weeks earlier, but this match was a reminder of why he had fallen in love with wrestling in the first place. It wasn't just about the wins or the titles. It was about the moments, the connections, and the legacy. As Kurt left the ring, he paused at the top of the ramp, turning back to look at the crowd one last time. The fans were still chanting his name, their voices echoing through the arena. Kurt raised a fist in acknowledgement, a small smile on his face. March 25, 2019, Kurt Angle vs. Samoa Joe. The night is electric as Kurt Angle makes his way to the ring for his match against Samoa Joe. The crowd is on their feet, chanting, "Thank you, Angle." As Kurt soaks in the adulation. Samoa Joe, ever the Predator, waits in the ring, his eyes locked on Kurt. Some time ago, Joe had vowed to put Kurt to sleep, and tonight, he plans to make good on that promise. The bell rings, and the two legends circle each other. The match starts with a technical exchange, showcasing Kurt's Olympic background and Joe's brute strength. The crowd is fully invested, cheering for every move Kurt makes. As the match progresses, Joe begins to take control, using his power to wear Kurt down. He hits a series of brutal suplexes and a devastating uranagi, leaving Kurt gasping for air. Joe taunts the crowd, shouting, "I told you I'd put him to sleep." He locks in the Coquina clutch, his signature submission move, and the arena falls silent. Kurt's face turns red as he struggles to break free. The referee lifts Kurt's arm once, it falls. Twice, it falls again. The crowd begins to chant, "Let's go, Angle. Let's go, Angle." Kurt, hearing the chants, summons every ounce of strength he has left. With his vision fading and his body screaming in pain, he begins to fight back. Using his legs, he pushes against the ropes, creating enough space to roll through and break the hold. The crowd erupts as Kurt stumbles to his feet, his determination shining through. Joe charges at him, but Kurt counters with a desperation angle slam. The crowd goes wild as Kurt goes for the pin, 1, 2, but Joe kicks out. Kurt, knowing he's running on fumes, locks in the ankle lock. Joe writhes in pain, trying to reach the ropes, but Kurt wrenches back with everything he has. Finally, Joe taps out. The bell rings, and the crowd erupts in cheers. Kurt collapses to the mat, completely spent, but victorious. Joe, visibly frustrated, rolls out of the ring and storms off, leaving Kurt to bask in the adulation of the crowd. Kurt slowly gets to his feet, raising his arms in triumph as the fans chant his name. March 26, 2019, final night on SmackDown, Kurt Angle vs. AJ Styles. The next night, Kurt Angle makes his final appearance on SmackDown. The crowd is electric, knowing this could be one of Kurt's last matches. His opponent? None other than, the phenomenal, AJ Styles. The two have a history of mutual respect, and the crowd knows they're in for a classic. The match begins with a handshake, a sign of the respect between the two competitors. What follows is a beautiful masterpiece, with both men trading holds, counters, and high-impact moves. The crowd is on the edge of their seats, chanting, "This is awesome. This is awesome." As the match reaches its climax, AJ knocks Kurt back with a Pele kick and sets up for the phenomenal forearm. But before he can leap, Randy Orton's music hits. AJ Styles looks around though he didn't see Randy, but like a viper Randy Orton slides into the ring and sneaks up behind AJ, ready to deliver an RKO. Kurt, noticing Randy's presence, acts quickly. He shoves AJ out of the way just as Randy leaps, barely avoiding the RKO. Randy lands on his feet, his eyes narrowing as he stares at Kurt. The two legends lock eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. AJ, confused, turns around and finally notices Randy. His eyes widen in shock, but then he realizes what just happened. Kurt had saved him from the RKO, ensuring that their match could continue. AJ looks at Kurt with a nod of respect, acknowledging the gesture. Randy, still in the ring, glares at AJ like a predator sizing up its prey. He then turns his attention back to Kurt, his expression softening slightly. Without saying a word, Randy nods at Kurt, as if to say, "Fine, I'll let you have your match. But he's mine next." Randy slowly backs out of the ring, his eyes never leaving AJ, and disappears into the shadows. With the distraction over, Kurt and AJ refocus on each other. The crowd is buzzing with excitement as the two legends continue their match. The final minutes are a flurry of near falls, counters, and breathtaking moves. In the end, Kurt locks in the ankle lock, and AJ, after a valiant struggle, taps out. The bell rings, and the crowd erupts in cheers. Kurt releases the hold and collapses to the mat, completely spent. AJ, despite the loss, extends a hand to Kurt. The two shake hands, and then, in a moment of pure respect, AJ pulls Kurt into a hug. The crowd chants, "Thank you, Angle. Thank you, Angle." Kurt stands in the center of the ring, soaking in the adulation. As he left the stage, still to the chanting of his name. On the night of WrestleMania, nearing the time of Kurt's match, the arena was buzzing with anticipation. The crowd knows this is it, the final chapter in Kurt Angle's legendary career. Backstage, Kurt sits alone in a dimly lit room, his gear on and his mind wandering. The sounds of the crowd filter through the walls, a distant roar that feels both comforting and overwhelming. Kurt stares at the floor, his thoughts swirling. He had requested a specific opponent for his final match, a dream opponent, someone who represented the pinnacle of his career. But Vince McMahon had told him it couldn't happen. "It's not the right time," Vince had said. "We have other plans." Those plans had involved Baron Corbin, but Drew McIntyre had taken him out of the equation. Now, with Vince away attending to urgent matters, Kurt is left in the dark, unsure of who will stand across the ring from him tonight. He thinks back to his farewell tour, the matches against Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and others. Each one had been a reminder of why he fell in love with wrestling in the first place. The crowd's chants, the respect from his peers, the thrill of competition, it all comes flooding back. But now, as he sits here, the weight of his career presses down on him. Is this how it ends? He wonders. Without the opponent I wanted. Without the closure I needed. A knock on the door interrupts his thoughts. A production assistant pokes their head in. 5 minutes, Kurt. Kurt nods, taking a deep breath. He stands up, his body aching but his spirit unbroken. He looks at himself in the mirror, adjusting his gear. The face staring back at him is older, weathered, but still filled with determination. As he steps out into the hallway, the noise of the crowd grows louder. He can feel the energy vibrating through the floor, through his chest. He walks slowly, his mind still wondering. Who will it be? Who will stand across the ring from him in his final match? He reaches the curtain, the final barrier between him and the arena. The production team hands him a microphone, and he takes it, his grip firm. The crowd's chants are deafening now, a wall of sound that washes over him. Kurt closes his eyes, taking one last moment to himself. He thinks about his journey, the highs, the lows, the sacrifices, the triumphs. He thinks about the fans, the ones who have been with him every step of the way. And he thinks about the opponent he wanted, the one he may never get to face. But as he opens his eyes, a sense of peace washes over him. It doesn't matter who's waiting for him in that ring. What matters is that he gives everything he has, one last time. For the fans. For himself. For the legacy he's built. The music hits, and the crowd erupts. Kurt Angle steps through the curtain, ready to write the final chapter of his story. The stage is set. The crowd is electric, their chants of, "Thank you, Angle," echoing through the stadium as Kurt Angle stands in the ring, microphone in hand. He looks out at the sea of fans, his eyes glistening with emotion. "Thank you," Kurt begins, his voice steady but filled with gratitude. "Thank you to the WWE Universe, to the company, to everyone who has been with me on this incredible journey. It's been an honor to step into this ring and fight for you all these years. But tonight is the end of the road." The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and sadness, their voices rising in unison to show their appreciation. Kurt pauses, letting the moment sink in. Then, he gets serious, his tone shifting as he addresses the elephant in the room. "Now, there's one thing left to do. I'm issuing a challenge to anyone in that locker room." Before he can finish, the familiar opening notes of, "My time is now," blast through the speakers. The crowd explodes in a deafening pop as John Cena's music hits. Kurt's eyes widen, and a smile spreads across his face. This is it. The moment he's been waiting for. John Cena emerges from the entrance ramp, his signature cap and jersey on, a look of determination on his face. The crowd is in a frenzy as Cena makes his way to the ring, soaking in the moment. He steps through the ropes and stands face to face with Kurt, the two legends sharing a moment of mutual respect. Cena raises his microphone, and the arena falls silent. Now, don't you dare go thinking that just anybody will send you out, Cena says, his voice firm but filled with admiration. I've seen you've been winning a lot of matches lately, so I've been thinking. There's only one person with enough ruthless aggression to take you out, and his name is John Cena. The crowd roars as Kurt raises his microphone, a smile on his face. Challenge accepted, he says. Someone get a referee out here now. The referee sprints to the ring, and the commentators lose their minds. It's happening. The match we've all wanted, Kurt Angle vs. John Cena, one last time. The bell rings, and the two legends circle each other, the crowd buzzing with anticipation. The match is a masterclass in storytelling, with both men trading holds, counters, and high-impact moves. Cena's strength and resilience are on full display, but Kurt's technical prowess and experience keep him in the fight. The crowd is on their feet, chanting, "This is awesome! This is awesome!" as the match reaches its climax. Kurt hits a snapdown maneuver, but Cena rolls through and counters with a thunderous shoulder tackle. The two men exchange blows in the center of the ring, each refusing to back down. In the closing moments, Kurt is on his last legs, his body barely able to keep up with his fighting spirit. Cena swings him off the ropes, and Kurt tries to counter with one last desperate move, but his body betrays him. He bounces back into Cena's arms, and Cena lifts him up for the attitude adjustment. As Cena holds Kurt high, he looks directly into the camera and says, "Thank you, Kurt." The words are quiet but filled with emotion, a moment of pure respect between two icons. Cena delivers the AA, and the crowd falls silent as he covers Kurt for the pin. 1, 2, 3. The bell rings, and the crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and tears. Cena rolls off Kurt and kneels beside him, offering a hand to help him up. Kurt, exhausted but smiling, takes Cena's hand and gets to his feet. Cena raises Kurt's arm in the air, pointing to him as if to say, "This man is a legend." The crowd chants, "Thank you, Angle. Thank you, Angle," as Cena begins to leave the ring. But before he can go, Kurt pulls him back into a hug. The two men embrace, a moment of mutual respect and gratitude that speaks volumes. Cena smiles, pats Kurt on the back, and exits the ring, leaving Kurt alone to soak in the adulation of the crowd. Kurt stands in the center of the ring, his arms raised as the crowd chants his name. Tears stream down his face as he takes it all in, the cheers, the love, the respect. He walks around the ring, thanking the fans for being a part of his journey. The commentators are silent, letting the moment speak for itself. Finally, Kurt climbs the turnbuckle, raising his arms one last time as the crowd erupts in cheers. He steps down, removes his wrestling boots, and leaves them in the center of the ring, a symbolic gesture that his in-ring career is over. As Kurt makes his way up the ramp, the crowd's chants grow louder. He pauses at the top, turning back to look at the ring one last time. The arena is bathed in light, the crowd's voices echoing through the night. Kurt raises a fist in acknowledgement, a small smile on his face. "Thank you," he mouths silently before disappearing into the shadows.